So yeah, today I'm going to be reading the entire Fire Punch manga in one sitting without any breaks. Now I already did this with Chainsaw Man, and since a couple of you recommended Fire Punch, and since I wanted to read Fire Punch for a very long time, I said why not. So yeah, now it's currently around 4 p.m. and yeah, got my stopwatch here and let's see how long it takes to read this bitch. Now you might be wondering, what just compelled me to do this again? Two reasons. Trying to prove to my mother that I'm not as big of a disappointment as she thinks, and because I have nothing better to do with my life. So, it's been about an hour, and I've read about 14 chapters, so about 2 volumes worth. And oh man, I didn't expect this manga to be so dark. So what initially sold me on Fire Punch was its concept. You have this world where people with superpowers exist, and there came this witch that turned the whole world into ice. And in this post-apocalyptic world, you have this guy who has these really powerful regenerative powers. And because of some circumstances, he comes into contact with this other person who also has superpowers. Now, this other guy's powers is that he can produce flames that never extinguish. And now, bada bing bada boom, he burns the main character, and now the main character basically burns forever. And if that flame touches anything else, it burns that thing to ash as well. So, you know, he starts punching people with fire. Fire Punch. Now, while continuing to read Fire Punch, I remembered the one and only person in this world who doesn't judge me. My dog. And while taking her out so she can do her poo-poo stinky, I started to wonder about the guy who punches with fire. Just how painful is it to be burned alive constantly for decades? How is it to day after day live in constant anguish and agony? Then I remembered I already know the feeling since I play League of Legends on a daily basis.
Ha megfeleled azt, akkor jobb lesz.
So, it's been around 2 hours and I'm currently on chapter 35. First thing I must mention is that the artwork is simply amazing for this manga. I recently read Look Back and Goodbye Eddie, which are both one-shots from Fujimoto, the person who wrote this manga and Chainsaw Man as well. And I must say, Fujimoto is a seriously talented both artist and storyteller. It's also rad as fuck. It's gory, the action is freaking amazing, it's just detailed when it needs to be in its... It's just amazing. If the Fire Punch guy punches the fire while the fire is Fire Punch, will the fire punch the fire or will the punch fire the punch? I really need to get a life. The fuck am I reading? So, it's been around 3 hours and I've just finished reading chapter 58. And man, has this manga been a trip. Honestly, like, trying to explain the general story of this manga is just near impossible. You have a lot of different themes explored in this story. You have the themes of gender equality, homosexual relationships, and the author even touch upon the struggles of trans people. And there is a constant flow of all kinds of movie references. It really does make this manga feel oddly modern. But yeah, all those plot, I guess, elements and side stories, if you call them, they all don't get too much attention. At the end of the day, this story is about our main guy, the Fire Punch guy, Agni. Him as a character, it's really interesting to see him develop because he constantly keeps developing and then de-developing back. He constantly jumps between a hero and a villain of the story. He is the protagonist, but you see the hero, you see the villain, we just know he's the Fire Punch guy. So I just finished reading Chainsaw Man. I'm sorry. I just finished reading Fire Punch, and it took me, funnily enough, 3 hours, 39 minutes, and 39 seconds. I swear this wasn't scripted. So let's say it took me around 3 hours and 40 minutes to read Fire Punch. I have a lot of things to say about this manga, like it's filmed to bring with all the themes like I've just said. Some themes I haven't touched upon in this video are just like religious sects and like depression and suicide, and yeah, there's just like so many things going on. The main character Agni is also quite interesting, I might say, and the whole story, the way it ends, is just grand on scale, messed up and weird, just like in Tatsuki Fujimoto style. I also must say that I kind of like Fire Punch more than Chainsaw Man. Please put the pitchforks down. I'm telling you, this manga would light up the anime community if it got an anime adaptation. But yeah, now for the stats. So, it took me 3 hours and 40 minutes to finish Fire Punch. So no breaks, just continuous reading. That leaves 24 chapters read in a single hour, which means it took me 2.5 minutes to read a single chapter, or 10 seconds per one page. Now, all across the board, these stats are quicker than Chainsaw Man, so that either means I'm becoming more powerful, or that means that, yeah, it was just a shorter manga. But actually, I felt like it took me longer to read Fire Punch since there was a lot more dialogue, like at least in the beginning. Later on it became like more action, you can kind of go through it much quicker. Now we know how long it takes to read Fire Punch, and don't forget to subscribe because I'm trying to pass up Trash Taste, and if I pass them up, that means they will have to be forced to get me on their podcast, and I really want to hang out with my parasocial friends. Please. Anyway, bye bye.